Welcome to the FPL USA Press Play Podcast. We are the official audio home of the hashtag FPL USA community. We got a loaded show to dive into. We are now the only fantasy football relevant game that's still in the States after a disaster of a Super Bowl. I'm Bucks. I'm joined by my West Coast co-hosts, Brian and Dan, aka Black Wolf. How the hell are you guys?
I am good. Like the Super Bowl was very, very boring. So I think the best part about that was the commercials as usual. But it was nice to see the Chiefs lose, to be honest, because I'm tired of those guys winning every season.
Super Bowl was very disappointing, just like completely anticlimactic way to end the season.
It was.
Although I was watching with one of my good mini league rivals, Andrew Steinberg. He hosted about 20 people for a party in SoCal, and he had 12 people all wearing Eagles jerseys, and they were getting lit. Every score, they were taking shots, and there was a lot of scoring in the first half. Good Lord. Even took a shot for a field goal make, and they were just living it up. So as a Packers fan, I was a bit subdued because the Eagles had beat the Packers twice this regular season, and I didn't want the Super Bowl champion to be from the NFC, but we're talking about the wrong sport here.
Yeah, enough NFL. Let's transition to FPL. But before we do, I think we buried the lead a little bit, just like the Eagles buried the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We have an extra special guest here from the hashtag FPL USA community. One of the best managers and also a established content creator is here with us. So let me pass the baton to Black Wolf. He's a much more dulcet sounding gent and a true gentleman and scholar. Let's introduce our guest.
Yeah, so we've been friends with this guy for a long, long time. One of the original FPL USA content creators on social media. He is 1/3 of Radar FPL, who have some of the best content in the entire FPL community. It's about time that they've been getting the views that they deserve, because I've seen their stuff everywhere this season. It really is the best content you can look at. And it is FPL_Wrangler, also known as Gollum. How are you?
Hey guys, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's a privilege to be here. I'm doing all right. Again, this time, it's kind of boring. We forgot when was the last game happened, maybe a month ago, so I don't know. So, but yeah, I think just hanging in there, FPL wise. But yeah, again, thank you so much for all the kind words that you said, Dan. We have been in touch. It's been a while, right? We have been with the introduction of the FPL USA for a couple of years ago, whenever you initiated this, and then we were part of it. So proud to be part of it. So thanks so much.
Yeah, we love your content, and you better be collecting royalties from the expert infographics that you and the team are dropping each week, often multiple times per week. I see those featured in numerous other shows across the FPL community. So love the great work that you are doing for Radar, and it's just a great way to see the visual representation of XG, of some of the players, and expected goal involvement. So there's lots of great stats and stuff that you should check out for the Radar lads. And yeah, great to have you on the pod. So Wrangler, tell me a little bit about who do you support and how is your FPL season going? And are they correlated at all?
Okay, can I discard this? Who I may support for a while, because I'm a Manchester United supporter. It's not going well, as you can understand. So
hiss.
Maybe yeah. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna say. So yeah, I've been a Manchester United supporter during good times and bad times too. I'm not a plastic supporter or whatever you call it, right? So yeah, I had the best time during Sir Alex Ferguson, and then after that, there are lots of changes, as you know. Right now, we are hopeful again with the new manager, right? Things are, I would say, the trajectory is progressive, upwards, towards upward. We are not getting the result, but at least I can see that the players are like, performing, at least, they're trying. We are probably having issues in terms of like, scoring goals in the forward. But again, the other positions, players know the expectation and they are trying their best. I think, how the managers want the teams to be. In terms of FPL, it's going okay, I would say. Not like maybe Brian, who has been flying this season, but going okay. I had a decent start. So basically, decent in a sense, like, I started with both Haaland and Salah. So that's why, was in a million or so in game week 7 or 8. But after that, I had to get Saka when like Arsenal fixture turns into good, and I had to sacrifice Salah, and that's when actually he started getting all the points.
Oof, that's brutal.
And so that's when actually like I had Haaland only. I was keeping faith on him, and I went back to like around 2 million or so. But fortunately, I had my wild card, so I played wild card in wildcard, I think game week 12, and that's when I got Salah and got rid of Haaland, and things went better till then. So I would say since then, now actually I'm around 150K, something like that. So I
Very
think
solid.
it's in a good shape, at least compared to my last season. It was pretty bad last season during this time of the season, but I'm happy with this. So.
Yeah, you're on pace for a top 25K finish if you can nail your chips. So I think that's a good transition here. Let's talk about how our game weeks have been so far. We have one remaining match, and that is the last match at Goodison, where we will have Liverpool playing Everton midweek on Wednesday. We are currently recording this podcast on Monday, the 10th of February. So let's start with our esteemed Black Wolf over here. How has the game week been? And do we have Ass Men on the podcast today?
We do. I'm having a poor game week. I'm already on a 100K red arrow, even though I've played a chip. So I played it on David Moyes, which actually looks pretty good. From after the first game, he got 12 points. But, not owning Chris Wood and the very first game of the game week, he gets 17 points, just kind of ruins the entire 2-week game week.
Yikes.
That kind of sucked. So, double Arsenal defense I had to play against Man City. And again, they let in a stupid goal. A clean sheet there would have been nice. And I have both of the Fulham guys on the bench who both returned. And I brought in Mbumo. He got 2 points. I have Semenyo, Rogers, 1.2 point. Even Isak got 2 points. So it's been a bit of a bad game week. And I'm just hoping I can claw it back slowly. I think my aim at this point is top 500K. I'm just having fun with it now.
You got to play it your way, and that's good to test some experiments, go for a couple punts, and all the rest. But I think we should just rewind a little bit. Like the fact that everybody found out about this double game week the Friday before the deadline,
right?
And I thought it was just hilarious because so many managers had made tons of early transfers, and I think I definitely benefited from a few folks using 3-4 transfers early, and then they hear the news that there's going to be this double for Liverpool potentially, and that led me to activate the Ass Man chip for my team, just knowing that I could get 5 cracks at it versus 3, and it was just chaos. I mean, I had taken my time. I had 5 frees, and I still used 2 of them before activating the Ass Man, but I did not triple up on Liverpool. I was holding out for all hope and left myself with flexibility, so I was just able to get slot in without having to do a bunch of hokey cokey with assets. Now, it's just kind of crazy. Right now, the triple captaincy on Mo Salah netted 16 points times 3, so 48 points in the first half of the double game week. So those managers who went that route are flying at the moment. But I think with the Ass Man chip, especially if you have slot, if you have Moyes, this is looking at your incremental gains over the next 3 weeks, right? Like people are going to be activating the chip in double game week 25. And so you're kind of comparing yourself against a few of those. So just a very much a interesting, like I'd never planned to use it this early, right? Bucks, we're like, yeah, let's save it for the end of the season when there's double game week 36 and there's some punts and people on the beach. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, fuck, we got to get into action real soon.
That's what I was going to say. I think people like Bucks and I, who have already played our triple captain chip, kind of got away with it this week because most people who have that chip were going to play it on Salah, and he's already got 16 points after one game. He could easily finish on 25 or more, which would have been a massive, massive red arrow for people that didn't use a chip this week. So the fact that we've all kind of gone the assistant manager route has kind of helped us get away with it a little bit, I think.
Totally agreed. But I also think I'm one of those silly individuals who's having a brutal season. You might think I'm the casual in the bunch, but I do take FPL quite seriously. I'm looking at probably my first in 5 seasons, my first finish outside the top 100K. I'm ranked at about 1 million. I'm on a pretty nice green arrow up till this point. I'm at 85 points. I have the Ass Man chip on Moyes. But I moved early to actually swap Luis Diaz to Gakpo. I used my free transfers. And the fact that we found out that
Absolute
double
chaos.
game week, yeah, I'm leaning into the chaos right now. I'm cool with
Oh
it.
my goodness.
And the fact that you don't need to use a free transfer to activate the Assman chip actually became huge for my team. I was able to exactly afford bringing David Moyes in. And so far, I think it's going brilliantly for everyone who used a chip. I think if you use triple captain, you're probably pretty happy with how things are turning out. If you used Ass Man, yes, you're a couple points in the red right now. But again, I think you have to look at it of optimization, a kind of future value, because you're going to have it for next game week and the game week after. And then you'll be able to use your triple captain chip if you still have it in a different double game week. So the math hasn't quite mathed up till this point, but I think everyone's happy because right now the average score in the community is 65 points, which is huge with the match still to play. So I think probably all 4 of us are well above that 65-point threshold. Is that right, Wrangler?
Yeah, I'm also on 85 points right now. I
Yeah,
also
me too.
played, assistant manager cheap, but I agree with Dan that the people who played like early triple captaincy, they really got away with it, especially
Mhm.
after the FA Cup result as well. Now Liverpool got out of the FA Cup, right? So otherwise, at least people would have had chance to play on Salah, right? Either in game week 33 or 36, whenever it would be. But now we don't have that option, right? Now probably Isak will be the option around in game week 36 if we have any double game week at that time, right? So that's one disappointment, but again, what can we do, right? We have to.
Yeah, and great shout on the Isak front versus Salah. But, by that point, Callum Wilson might be a factor. He came on, he was fit in the second match of the Cup. We know that won't last for more than 15 minutes, but, that 15 minutes could come at any point in the season, and that could land inopportunely in that double game week for when Newcastle play twice.
Yeah,
It
maybe
could be
before
Haaland too,
we
right? Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe before we get to recapping some of the cup action, let's just look back specifically at the match between Bournemouth and Liverpool, because this is one where obviously the best thing about the Ass Man chip was everybody who went Moyes is rooting against Slot and Liverpool, and everybody who went with Slot is rooting for Leicester to beat the pants off of Everton. And instead, the Toffees emerge with a 4-0 victory. And then we also see a 2-0 victory for Liverpool. But very, very fortunate. I am an owner who brought in Clivert, and he missed a wide open, massive, big chance off of a rebound, and he skied it. And given his form, I could not believe that he skied that into the field goal range. So
How do you think
very,
I feel,
very
Brian?
fortunate.
I have Semenyo who hit the post.
Oh, hit the
And
top
I
of the
played
bar.
my
at
asset
the
manager
last.
on Moyes. So if that went in, that would have been huge for me. But of course, they kept the clean sheet. Ah.
Yeah, and then you look at the triple captain EO, like around 220%. So I don't think any of us have triple captain activated on Mo this game week. So I want him to blank, but I need, Liverpool to win because I have Slot as my ass man, but then I don't have Gakpo, so I need Gakpo to blank. So I need
Yeah, you're asking
Szoboszlai
for
to
a
like
lot.
show up. It's so funny trying to calculate your points this game week, but we should have some healthy scores well above the 100 mark this game week. So I'm on 95. So I'm happy so far with that outcome. Obviously, owning Chris Wood has just been God's gift to my FPL season.
Yeah, he's been God's gift to many, and he's New Zealand's own Chris fucking Wood at this point.
The
And that's a
Kiwi
great place for
himself.
us to transition. Forest, they were the opening match of the game week. Now, I know it feels like it happened in 2024 at this point. It's been such a never-ending 100-year game week. But Forest were the first match, and they absolutely smashed the Seagulls right out of the sky. Opening fixture 7-0 to the hosts. That was Chris Wood with a hat trick,
Oh
3
my
bonus
God.
points, 17 points to stick it in Dan's eye. And then Gibbs White, former Wolves player, legend of Wolverhampton, one might say, got him in the ear with 16 points. He had a goal, 2 assists, and 2 bonus points. Alonga, hat trick of assists for 13 points. And of course, who do I have stuck in goal on my team? Bart Verbruggen with the all -1 point there in the double game week. You love to see it.
Oh, -1. You got away with it. I felt like he deserved -2 for that performance. Holy crap. This Brighton team is just an atrocity for FPL. I started João Pedro in this one. I'm like, nah, you know what? We'll roll him out because Eze ended up having an injury. He gets ripped off at halftime. And then it's just this freaking team, man. I don't understand. Then they come back in the FA Cup and they beat Chelsea. It's just like, so what a bizarre Brighton season this is. They're a complete stay away from fantasy from my perspective. Even if they have a double game week, I'm not going near their rotation trash bin players.
Wrangler, I want to bring you into the conversation here because Forest, I think, are pretty clearly the surprise team of this FPL and Premier League season. Based on what you're seeing with the radar guys, are they a team to be trusted? I mean, at this point, I think we know that Chris Wood is legit. He's having his best ever season. But is it maybe time for us to consider a double up on the Forest team?
Not now, because the fixtures are turning, I would say, a little like, not favorable, because I think they're gonna play Fulham, right? I think this week.
Fulham
The next
away
week.
is coming
Yeah,
up.
Fulham away, and then Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, right? So that's not a really favorable run. But again, as you said, they are a complete surprise for this season, especially in terms of football as well as FPL as well, right? Who thought that Chris would be essential 80 or 90% EO, right? So again, I didn't take any. I didn't have any Nottingham Forest players so far this season, and I think I have to avoid at least until game week 28 or whatever it is. And after that, I will think about Chris Wood, because that's when the fixture again turns good. But until then, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, it's important to say that in blank game week 29, Nottingham Forest have a fixture against Ipswich.
Yep.
So I think if you don't own Chris Wood in that game, you're going to be hiding behind your sofa.
Yeah, and one more player we should shout out is Ola Aina. I think up till this point this season, he's had the most price increase of any player in the game. I think he started at 4.5 million. He's all the way up into the upper echelon of 5 million. So he's been another
Crazy.
player on Forest who's just having a dream season. And yeah,
I think
couldn't go any
the
better
overall,
than a 7-0 win.
The overall #1 player in the world has been riding Ola Aina into the sunset and into another galaxy of FPL points. Oh my goodness, this guy's had him all season, and it's
Unreal.
incredible. I haven't had a single defender from Newcastle, or not Newcastle, from NFO this season. It's just been sinking my rank, even though I've owned Chris Wood. It's just a crazy season from the Forest lads.
Yeah, they're what Wolves dream to be, taking one more last kick at Wolf while he's down. Let's transition.
You could put Chelsea in there too. We're looking up at the ass crack of NFO right now as Chelsea continues to tumble down the table. So
Exactly.
Hey, they're top 4. You watch yourself, plastic
And
man up there.
Wolves are still in the cup as well. So there's that as well.
Yeah. Oh shit. They're in the relegation cup. Is that the one you're talking about?
We have more chance of a trophy than Chelsea do.
I
That's
don't.
for sure.
Have you seen the
we
UEFA?
got Europe, brother.
We're playing against teams worse than Wolves there.
Oh man.
Let's keep going. Let's talk about the game of the weekend, which was Arsenal playing against Manchester City at home. Now, I think I was predicting this was going to be a tight match, as were you, Brian. This was anything but a close contest. Credit to Arsenal. They blew the doors off Manchester City. They win 5-1 to the delight of the home crowd. Holland has his moment. He gets a goal. And I think this was really the first match where I really saw the fatigue playing a part of Arsenal, specifically in Gabriel Saliba. He looked human for the first time all season, I would say. But yeah, Arsenal just poured it on. Specifically, credit to their two teenagers, Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis Skelly, who each get in the goals. Huge match, and they celebrated like it was. So credit to the Gunners. I'll leave it there. That's all the credit and nice things I could say about the London team in red.
I mean, the young lad hits the Holland meditation celly right in his bleeping face. That was a highlight of that match for sure.
Wrangler, you watch that game? You see anything that jump off the screen?
I actually I watched the game. It was, I mean, I didn't have any feelings, to be honest, on this game. I mean, it would be good. It would be like, if it would be tight, but 5-1. I'm really not much like Arsenal fan. I'll be honest with you. So the scoreline.
Amen to that. We like that here.
But yeah, friends who are Arsenal fans, so I mean, definitely, moments to cherish. But again, I mean, I think Kante actually told the same thing. We had a discussion that Pep used to do this with other teams, right? Whatever Arteta did to Man City in this game, right? So kind of playing with the boys versus men, I would say, right? So, but again, Arsenal, it's not very consistent, right? I mean, this game they had a good show, but again, in the FA Cup they're out, right? Although they had a good game, but again, Newcastle also showed how to protest them, right? So otherwise, I think, yeah, I mean, it's a good game for Arsenal, but I was not really happy, to be honest.
Yeah, I got you. No
And more
love for
specifically,
that team.
looking at Manchester City, they made some big splashy recruitments during the end of the transfer window because they know how soft they've been, especially in midfield. So Nico Gonzalez is going to be coming in for them for the run-in to push for Champions League spots. I think he's probably the most impactful signing based on the eye test and what they need. Obviously, Marmoush is going to be the future Egyptian prince and probably the Egyptian king of the Premier League once Salah leaves. But in terms of impacts, really keen to see how Nico Gonzalez, helps solidify their team without Rodri, as that's been just a massive miss all season.
Yeah, let's close with two last points. Let's turn to Wolves Corner. I want to show my co-host Dan some love after I said some not so nice things about his favorite club in Wolverhampton. Wolves, they absolutely had, in my opinion, the most complete and their best performance of the season. They laid the smackdown on the Villans 2-0 at home. Bellegarde had an insane match, 11 points for FPL, goal, clean sheet, and 3 bonus points. But I think we see the power of the assmanship in this match specifically. It's highlighted. Victor Pereira, am I getting that name right, Dan?
Vita,
excuse me. He ends up as the top scorer so far in the game week. He's on 20 points, table bonus, the clean sheet, the 2 goals. Ass man to the moon if you're a Wolf supporter.
yeah, I mean they played really well. It's partly how well Wolves played and also how bad Villa played. They continued their
Champions League into Premier
exactly.
League, just hangover. Oh my goodness.
They continued the theme that they've been having all season, where they have a good game in the Champions League and then they come back to the Premier League and just put in a terrible performance. So yeah, it was a comfortable win for Wolves and a clean sheet. And now we have some difficult games coming up, and I just hope we get the points needed to stay up. We made some good signings in the January transfer window. So, I'm quietly hopeful after that performance.
And the big news is Cunha inks his new deal, and hopefully that will put him in better spirits as he'll be at the Molineux through the end of the season, right? So
yeah, and it does have a release clause of, I think, 62 million it was. So that'll get Wolves a nice bit of profit when we inevitably sell him at the end of the season. I highly doubt he'll be there next season.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Hopefully they can stay up and he can power that. But I mean, he should have had multiple goals in this match, right? I know he got the late one, I believe, in extra time, but he had a few big chances. So he's feeling back to his old self, I think, right?
Yeah, and he scored a beautiful goal in the FA Cup this week as well. I know it was against Blackburn from the Championship, but still, it was a very, very good finish, and he looked happy when he was playing. So, that's a good thing for Wolves.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, I feel
take
like
that for you.
those Brazilians really wear their heart on their sleeves quite a bit, right? So if there's something going on behind closed doors, that when they're on the pitch, you can read into a lot of their emotion. I think that's something that everybody was like, complaining about Cunha as he's gone through this saga in the
Yeah.
last month. So hopefully better days ahead, because their fixtures they're definitely on the menu. I'm looking at bringing Cunha into my team potentially for João Pedro. So pretty soon I will be probably going there with a easy fixture. Don't they play Southampton or some shit
Yeah, I mean,
in
the
blank
same
game
thing
week
happened
29?
at the start of the season where we have a run of horrible fixtures against all the top teams, and then we have a run against all the so-called bad teams. So that's coming up again soon. And Wolves are going to be on the menu for sure. I expect my DMs to pick up again because no one's been messaging me the past few
Yeah,
minutes.
I mean, just reading that out quickly. Game week 27, they have Fulham at home, followed by Everton at home, Southampton away in blank game week 29, West Ham at home, Ipswich away, Tottenham at home. Wow, Manchester United away, and then Leicester at home. These are some great fixtures. So for a
Yum
guy who
yum.
dominated earlier in the season, he could be. I think everybody's just looking for a third striker, right? Like you need that kind of price point of sub 7 million. So he'll be back on the menu soon. And Dan, you might own him for the first time this season. I want to see you own more Wolves asset. If you're gonna have a bad FPL season, put Cunha in your damn team.
Yeah, I mean,
Represent.
we also made a signing, Agbadu, who is 4.0 million defender, who's a nailed starter in our team and is a man of the match performer every week he's played so far. If he continues the way he's playing, I think we might get a little bit more clean sheets later in the season. So for those wild
Yeah,
carding
right.
late, hold on, for those who are playing their wild card late on, having a 4 million starting defender on your bench is a good thing to do,
All
especially
right,
for
that's
bench
all fair.
boost.
Wrangler, let's bring you in. Any Wolves players making your watch list, or
I
you
think
saying
Cunha is
to
the
Dan nicely, no thank
Cunha
you.
is the one. No, Cunha is the one. I actually had a good time with Cunha this season. I got him. So had a good time and looking forward to get him again. As you guys
All right,
said,
I
right?
love that.
It's coming soon, and I think it's a fantastic run. So we cannot ignore him.
Any chance your Manchester United squad is one of the teams that opens the purse strings for him in the summer transfer window?
There is a possibilities, but again, I think right now we got one left back that was really needed. Now, yeah, like profile like Cunha would be really good. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think we need a striker badly. I think that's what the priority should be. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw there was news today, Wrangler. I'm not sure if you saw it, that Amarin suggested they need a true forward number 9 option and then a second striker, which means that Xerxes and Hoyland, who have been two young starlets that they prized away from other leagues in the last couple windows, might not be seeing the pitch as much. So maybe Cunha could be that optimal kind of second striker option. 60 million is a bargain for a player of his caliber, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I mean, as you said, that we needed number 9. Like Cunha,
Yeah, for sure.
I think number 9. I mean, Cunha is very good in number 8 or number 10. If you put Cunha in number 9, I don't think you are taking really his his versatility option that you have, right? So I would prefer number 9. But Cunha is a bonus if you have Cunha, who doesn't like to have him, right? So absolutely,
For sure. All right. Let's wrap up this section. I know this is a kind of extended recap, the same way it's been an extended match week because there's so much going on. We also had 2 cups that were in process this game week. We had the League Cup semi second leg. That sees Newcastle breeze past Arsenal. They are currently Arsenal's bogey team this season pretty clearly. 2-0 in back-to-back legs, so that's 4-0 on aggregate. And Liverpool just completely flipped the switch and they sent Spurs packing 4-0. That ends 4-1 on aggregate. So it'll be a Newcastle and Liverpool final at Wembley, which I think for us neutrals is going to be popcorn worthy viewing. I think that should be a great final. I'm excited to watch those two teams with some firepower, with some unpredictability. They should be great matches.
Absolutely. And then other bonus football over the break, there were some cup sets, which actually really had big ramifications on the FPL season. We saw Plymouth Argyle just shocked the pants off of the Liverpool C squad. And Slot may have had his first little slip up here by not putting any of the midfielders from the first and second team, quite frankly, in the lineup or even on the bench. So lots of teenagers in this lineup. You would think that with Chiesa, who is it? Diaz, Darwin, and Jota, that they'd be able to
Yeah.
score a single goal, and they come up with the goose egg and lose 1-0. So now it's unlikely that there will be any more double game weeks for Liverpool the rest of the season, is my read on this situation and based on the fixtures coming out. So those who went with the triple captain on Mo in game week 24 or could use it in game week 25, those might be the only two times that Liverpool will double all season. So it might be a big feather in their cap when you're looking at that. And then Chelsea also lose to Brighton. So we're going to have both Chelsea and Liverpool feature in the blank game week 34. So again, lots of things happening in the future, but in terms of highly owned assets across the FPL game, those are some players that you'll be able to count on in the blank game week 34 and will not double in 33.
All right. This has been a lot. The great opening segment from us, I think. Pat on the back here a little bit. Host.
Yeah,
Love
so
and
much to
host
say,
action.
Bucks. It's been like 10 weeks since we've talked football, So of course we gotta vent and go a little bit long here.
Of course, that's a trademark of any good content creators is that, you budget 45 minutes and 2 hours later, you're still in the banter. With that, let's exhale. We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll hit the fast forward button and we'll come back to talk about the action to target and any moves to make ahead of double game week 25.
And we are back. Time to fast forward and preview the matches to come in double game week 25. We have two teams playing twice, and that is Liverpool and Aston Villa. The Villains versus the Liverpudlians. It's going to be an interesting game week because both of these have relatively cupcake fixtures early on. Liverpool will play Wolves. Sorry, Dan. And Villa will play Ipswich. So some bottom feeders against some decent teams here. Lots of FPL ramifications. Where should we start? Gollum, bring us in. What do you got here? Who are your favorite assets from? Let's go with the Liverpool team. Are you on Assman for slot? I can't remember.
No, I was on Moyes. So I'm thinking whether I should go for slot if Trent is out. Out means out. Like we should get some news, because that will give me some money. But again, whenever I think about it, that going to slot in place of Trent, but then from Aston Villa, except Rogers, we don't have anyone who is like a good pick, certain good pick, right? Because Konsa is injured, Watkins is like in doubt. So except Rogers, I don't have anyone, right? So that's when I think, what, maybe I should go with Emery so that I will have at least two Aston Villa. And if Trent doesn't play, I can just get like say, Van Dijk or Konat, I don't know. So at least have 5 double game weekers. So that's just, my thought right now to maximize the double. So that's where I'm at right now. So
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people who are on Moyes are going to be using a transfer to likely go to Emery, I would assume, especially if you're tripled up on the likes of Liverpool. But if Trent is out, I think there's a valid reason to use 2 transfers and just bring in slot, because you're also going to look at possibly moving off of Emery in game week 26. So you're going to use multiple transfers there as well. So it's a tough position to be in. I'm obviously thrilled that the double got announced. That's why I was holding on to only have 2 Liverpool players before the double game week 24 deadline. And I'm in a spot where, man, I mean, Slot's probably going to get 10 points versus Wolves, and then you probably put him on for 10 points versus Villa as well. So I mean, without Watkins, who from Villa is going to threaten Liverpool?
I mean, I was going to say that I think if you're moving from Moyes to Emery, what you're hoping for is in game week 26 that when Aston Villa play Chelsea, Chelsea are 5 places above Aston Villa at that point, which is very possible after this double. It could very well end up with Chelsea in 4th or 5th and Aston Villa in 9th or 10th based on the results. So I think if that happens and you have Aston Villa playing Chelsea with the potential table bonus, I'm probably just going to keep it on Emery. What do you think, Wrangler? You had a point to make there?
So I think in order to have 5 table point difference between Chelsea and Aston Villa have to lose both of the games in game week 25, by the way. So I think that's the equation. So I don't know if I lose to Ipswich, if I'll be like confident to like, you know, like and go with the Asman with Emery. But again, you're right. That's the worth of shot. So, but I was gonna ask to Brian that are you gonna really like, you know, Asman Slot versus Manchester City in 26? Is it the plan, or you're also planning to have another transfer in 26?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I expect to get 2 victories in game week 25, and then I'll probably use a transfer and move off of Slot just to probably an easier cupcake match, or if I'm feeling frisky, try and push for the 20. But I don't know. The upset matches for game week 26 are not as clear. Obviously, we're going to preview this more next week on the podcast, but you're looking at the likes of like McKenna and Ipswich versus Tottenham, which I guess is somewhat attractive. You're looking at a few of the other matchups that don't quite make so much sense to me to chase. So, you know, Arteta versus West Ham at home is, you know, you fully expect Arsenal to get that, and that's 10 points. Like, it's, if I get 10 points each of these 5 weeks in 3 game weeks, that's a 50-point chip for me, just playing it on the safe guys. So I'm trying to figure it out. Obviously, like, I'm at a astonishingly lucky rank of 5.5 million. So 10 points versus 0 points, that's a huge deal, right? That's gonna transfer me up to half my rank if I get another 10 points rather than getting 0 on playing it on somebody with the massive upside. So I think it definitely depends on your rank. Like, you should be chasing table bonus if your rank is not as good, or you're chasing mini league folks. But if you're in the lead, I would tend to go with the favorites, which is boring. Like, it's definitely boring. I will add that. Like, it's not as fun, but you're going to get a good dose on Wednesday if Liverpool just win like 3-0 versus Moyes, and everyone's like, fuck, that was not fun, you know, just to get absolutely smacked by all the slot owners. Like, who knows how it's going to play out, but getting 0 points is definitely on the table for Moyes ass man on Wednesday.
But again, you have to think about it in another way as well, right? I mean, if say Liverpool win 3-0, then you expect third Liverpool asset that Moyes Asman people have could just, you know, have a great game like Gakpo or Van Dijk, whoever it is, right? So that's going to be nullified anyway. So that's the hope for the people who are not on Slot, right? So,
yeah, I think if Everton lose 3-0, us guys with the Asman chip on Moyes are going to hope that it's Gakpo that gets a hat-trick, and then all of a sudden it's looking okay. But there's a lot of ifs with this chip. It's very difficult to calculate what's going to happen.
With that being said, I think let's take a look at some of the other matches in game week 25 that we're thinking they're going to be hauls, and Arsenal at Leicester and Bournemouth out Southampton. I think those are 2 that I'm really keen, because a lot of players are looking to possibly bring in Morgan Rogers, but are the trio from Bournemouth, who are going to also play in game week 29, just better options? They have the same amount of fixtures in total. So kind of curious what you think, Wrangler. Like, I'm looking at possibly going for Semenyo or for Rodgers this week as my Eze replacement. What are your thoughts on those kind of midfielders? Because the Southampton match could be yum for the Bournemouth Cherries.
I agree, but I would try to fit both in because I'm kind of a double gimmick sucker. So my priority transfer would be Rodgers. I think that's the only double gimmick asset from Aston Villa, right? As I said at the very beginning, there is no other options from Villa really. So I would prioritize first Rodgers and then if possible any of the Bournemouth. But that's just my thought. So.
What about Watkins? I think he might be flagged right now, and there's concern he might be injured. But, Villa have advanced through the Champions League, so they will have the midweek off for the next 2 weeks. Any worthwhile risk in just going for Watkins, saying that, with a little more rest, their fixture isn't till Saturday. He'll be fit and firing by the time their double comes around. Is that a risk worth taking, you think?
The problem going with Watkins, though, is in order to get him, you're probably going to have to sell Isak. And I don't think anyone's going to be comfortable doing that, considering how good he's playing and also his EO. So I think if you could get to Watkins without taking out Isak, it's a lot more viable. But I wouldn't take out Isak even against Man City away.
Wrangler, you agree with that take?
Yes. I think we're gonna get some news in the presser, but if he's some sort of iffy, I'll not probably go with that. Go with Watkins route because again, yeah, I have to sacrifice Isak, which I'm not really keen. We saw right even versus Arsenal against a good defense.
He was incredible.
How he was incredible, right? So good. So yeah,
he did turn Saliba inside out on one of those plays. Exactly. I know Bucks was singing Saliba's praise earlier, but he's given Van Dijk massive problems. He's given Saliba massive problems. He's just at the top of his game. So I'm not.
He's the best striker in the world right now. He's the most complete number 9 in world football. I think right now it's safe to say.
It's going through a great 10 plus game week spell. I can't argue with that, and they're advancing in the cup, so hard to argue.
Yeah, one thing I just want to make sure we touch on before we discuss the fixtures to target that aren't the doublers in 25 is that the teams that are playing twice in double game week 25, that's namely Liverpool and Villa, they will blank in game week 29. That's something that Wrangler and Brian, you referred to earlier. And so that's just something that everyone should be aware of before they make any rash transfers early going into this double. So
you better write that down, Bucks. Write that down for advice to take yourself.
I need all the fixtures I can get. That's what free transfers and hits are for, baby, is getting the points on the board. All right, let's start with Arsenal-Leicester. I think that is the most clearly lopsided match in 25. What do we think the score is going to be? The Foxes going to have their claws bearing for when the Gunners visit, or is it going to be a repeat of that Everton demolition?
I fully expect Jamie Vardy to stick it in me and take out my Gabriel clean sheet. 3-1 for Arsenal.
Oh, that's what Dan says on his OnlyFans account, right?
Here we go.
There it is. There it is.
I agree. I have double Arsenal defense for this game. I have Raya as well as Gabriel. So obviously I'm hoping for a clean sheet, but you just know Jamie Vardy's going to get a goal.
I mean, Leicester need to fucking pick it up after getting absolutely embarrassed. They could have lost 6-0 to Everton. They have to have.
Dan, any thought of going Raya to Emi Martinez?
Nah.
All right,
Raya's going to stay in my team until wildcard. I might as well because they don't blank in 29 as well. So I need a playing keeper in 29, of course, and I can't rely on Fabianski anymore. So if I do Raya to Martinez, I'm going to have to reverse that transfer at some point.
I rate it. It was just asking. Both of us are down in the locked basement right now of FPL OR. So,
well, Arsenal defense is a differential at this point, especially if you earn 2 of them. So if they get one clean sheet, and they still look good for clean sheets. Most of the goals they're conceding are really unlucky, I feel. So one clean sheet, and that's a massive boost to your rank. And they're just as likely to keep a clean sheet, in my opinion, as any other team. So why not?
All right, I like the gamble. And then Bournemouth at Southampton. Uh, Southampton, we should say, they've been a little bit better since they brought in the new manager, but that's like saying that the wheelchair Olympic team is going to be competing with the dream team from the USA 90s squad. It's just not going to happen. They are so far below the level of the rest of the Premier League. Now, all my hosts might not want to step in that off-color joke I just made, but I think the Cherries are going to absolutely feast. I think it's going to be 4-0 to the visitors.
Yeah, you were really struggling with your Super Bowl hangover when you're trying to find that joke, but
The Sisters of the Poor is just, that's too PC in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we expect 3-0 for the Cherries in this one, especially if everybody's healthy. I'm starting Clivert. I have him in my side, so I'm excited to roll his ass out for this upcoming fixture and hopefully see some joy.
Wrangler, I want to ask, let's refer to one of the amazing radar content that you guys often put out, which is kind of where the zones of opportunity are for the Bournemouth attackers to exploit against Southampton. You got a favorite pick out of the kind of three most in vogue attackers? Is this a Semenyo, a Clivert, or a Dango kind of game, you think?
I think it's we don't do zonal like is done by some other group, but I think in terms of like I usually prefer nail player, to be honest, and then the Semenyo comes, but Dango is a very good shout. They didn't sign any striker, right, that we were thinking, so I think Dango could be a very good shout too. And Andy Martin is suspecting that there could be a good parental break for Clivert. Who knows? So if I don't know if how much he's gonna be like appear. But again, all of them are good shout. There is no bad pick here. Just get get whatever you can. So
he's got to do that.
Apologies for the misreference, but I actually, to echo your point on Andy Martin, I heard he was dressing up and he was at the store looking for nurses' outfits. He was going to actually be in the room when Clivert's partner delivers, similar to how he was on site to see about measuring up to the sign with Saka.
All right, I think let's take our break here. We got some other matches. You got Newcastle at Man City, NFO versus Fulham, Manchester United at Tottenham. They're all going to be decent matches to watch. But I think we're going to take a break here and head to our community questions. We'll be right back.
All right, we're back from our break. That was my co-host Brian saving me from myself. Thank you for that. It's getting a little late here in Brooklyn. I don't know if you could tell, listeners. It's going off the rails here a bit, but in a good way. Yeah, let's go into our mailbag. These are some awesome contributions from the FPL community in the form of some listener FPL questions. Let's start with at Roberto Hollis 9, aka FPL Yellow Army. Him and FPL Negan are asking the same question for us. They want to know about selling Assman Moyes to Assman Emery and risk keeping the potentially injured Trent Alexander-Arnold, save an extra free transfer, or instead go kind of more gung-ho, move Moyes to slot and sell Trent to someone like Kirkez from Bournemouth. What do we think here? Don't all answer at once, guys.
I'll come off of mute and take this one. I mean, it's very tricky. I think that we have to know what's going on with Trent, because you don't want to bench a £7 million asset that is going to be dealing with a niggling injury and could be in and out of the lineup. He didn't feature, obviously, versus the Plymouth plaid t-shirts, and then either to Connor Bradley, right? So I don't know, are they resting Connor Bradley as well so then he can start versus Everton? So these are things we're going to find out in the next couple days. The deadline is Friday morning, so we will have some time for Friday morning here in the States. But I mean, Moyes' slot. I just don't see this Aston Villa team with all their new signees. You know, they got all these players on loan. They're just gonna come in, and if Watkins doesn't play, how are they gonna beat Liverpool? It's just like you're going
Rashford.
consistently against. Oh yeah, fucking Rashford. Get the f out of my face. You know, used to be an asset. Wish the guy luck, but you know, not coming out of the cold in Michigan with Wrangler for 8 months, and then he's going to come right in and bag a brace. Like, I just don't see that happening either. So it's
Yeah, and
definitely
Villa
tricky.
also have only Disasi as a fit center back right now. So they caught the injury bug at a weird time, but they did reinforce in the window. So I actually think they could get goals. I really just think it's the other side of the ball. I don't think they can expect to even keep one clean sheet in this double game week, which might be keeping me off the scent for Unai Emery. You got a take here, Dan?
Yeah, I think if you're planning to possibly bring in slots, you have to hear that Trent is definitely out, in my opinion, because you don't want to take out Trent if he ends up playing both games. Even if he plays one of the games, he's still a hold for me with the fixtures they have coming up. So, I don't think it's worth it. I would just go Moyes to Emery. I know you guys are down on Aston Villa, but that I can see them beating Liverpool at home.
Man,
I
this
really
this Villa team is essentially a mirror image of just a slightly better Brighton. They are so up and down. I think their defense is trash. I think the fact that they have to play Rodgers a zillion minutes, he never gets a rest.
They're a different team at home, though. They're a different team at home.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
You never know.
Obviously, I'm.
Don't
biased
slander
on
Yuri Tillemans like that, Brian. Come on, have a heart, man.
But for me, it's more the question of taking out Trent, and I wouldn't do it unless he was definitely out. I don't see the point of that. He's going to be so highly owned as well. It's just too risky for me.
Yeah,
Wrangler,
that's
come off mute. What's your sense? You gravitating towards Team Trent, or you like the idea of kind of going safe with slot?
So again, if Trent is really out, then it's worth the transfer. Now, whether you go with slot or to Emery, there's the question. Again, I'm gonna say the same thing. I want to maximize double here, right? So if I go with slot, then I will probably have 4 double game wickets, 3 from Liverpool, including slot, and then I will have Rodgers because I cannot trust anyone else, in this Villa team. But if I transfer from like Trent to say Van Dijk or Konate, I don't know, but then I can have Emery and I will have 5 double game wickets. And remember, they're playing versus Ipswich at home. I expect them, even if they're bad, I expect them to win against Ipswich, right? So that's the win, right? So, and as you say, that if Liverpool smashes, I expect my third Liverpool to get return as well. So that's gonna negate Slot's point. So that's my hope, right? So, and if they can do something against Liverpool, that's the bonus for me. So I'm kind of with the same boat as Dan, that I'll probably go with Emery. But again, I'll downgrade Trent as well to Van Dijk or Konate, because I know that I'm gonna get this player until 33 or until my next wildcard, right? So I want this Liverpool player who's gonna go a long way. So that's my thought.
I love it. We're all aligned, kind of going against the leader in the clubhouse, Chin here. You hate to see it for the three of us, because we'll likely be wrong based on the season Brian's having so far. Let's go to the next.
Based on Liverpool too, man. I mean, they should come out versus Moyes and in these next few fixtures, like they were a little embarrassed losing to Plymouth, so they better take this next match seriously and lay down the hammer. But I
think Chelsea. I just heard they just spent $20 million on the Plymouth Argyle keeper. He's going to be our number 1 next season.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that Dan added that you could keep Emery for game week 26, and that's attractive, right? Like, people who are on slot are potentially going to move him if they don't want to face Manchester City. So these are things to factor in as well when you're looking at your analysis. But the back half of his question, Kirkez is a great option. Just in general, like if you're looking for a defender transfer, I think Kirkez he's come in the goals, had a few assists. They have a great run coming up. They're a team in form. So for under 5 million, he's somebody that you could look at. And so is Hudson, whatever his name is of the 18-year-old kid, but he looks good too. So those are options if you're really trying to free up a lot of funds.
During our recording tonight, Kirk has actually went up in price by 0.1 million, just so you know, as did Semenyo. So that's worth shouting out.
Nice. Look at
shouting from the
you. Rich
rooftops
in
there.
team value, Dan. Keep taking it to the moon, baby.
My team value is so low, it's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
Next question is from Matt, aka at my Cayman fan. He's asking how many doublers we'd recommend having for double game week 25. Now I know Wrangler, you're getting bucks wild on the amount of doublers you want to have in 25. Me over here, I'll be happy to just have 4 doublers. I think that's kind of baseline. You want to have 1 asset from Villa. If you have Rodgers in place, of course you start him with all breaks off. But I don't know if I'd even be transferring Rodgers in if you have a well set up midfield, because that likely means you're going to bench someone like Chris Wood, who has a perfectly fine fixture. So I think 4 is kind of the sweet spot. If you can get to 5 using just free transfers, I think that's more optimal. So 4 or 5 is kind of, in my opinion, the sweet spot. Anyone could get to 6?
I think 6 is overkill for this game, especially since if you don't have a manager active, 6 of these guys are going to blank in 29. So 4 or 5 is the right play for me. I agree.
And how many will you have, Dan?
If I move Moyes to Emery, which I am like 99% sure I'm going to, then I'll have 5.
Brilliant. All right.
Yeah, I'm on 4, and just to take the devil's advocate about possibly bringing Rodgers in, his EO is very high in the top 10K. He's about 45 to 50% owned, and so that's a risk that I'm not really wanting to take on. So I will definitely be bringing him into my team as my 4th doubler, and then you're going to captain Salah like everybody else. Like I don't think anybody's going against him, so you'll technically have five assets playing. But yeah, Rodgers is just one with the EO. Like if you want to go against it, that's fine, but it's also like depends on your rank and that kind of thing. And Ipswich, you should probably get at least an assist in the Ipswich match if you believe in Villa.
What's his EO in the top 1 million? That's what we're really asking for here.
Probably even higher. I would guess. I haven't had him since like game week 8. So he has been a player that's in and out of my team.
He's the OG Chili man. Let's go to another FPL USA expert FPL player. That's FPL Paz. He's asking Wrangler specifically. So us 3 hosts, let's shut up for once. Leaning towards free hit in game week 29 or just using free transfers? How are you thinking about that free hit, Chip?
So after this FA Cup result, now I'm more leaning towards free 29 than previous, because previously I had like lots of transfer, like 4 or 5 free transfers. I could easily navigate, 11 players in game week 29. But now the question is that after all of this, like FA Cup result, like 33, Chelsea is gonna have fixture, Liverpool is gonna have fixture. So I think 34 is gonna be relatively easier now, to navigate. And in 29, I think now it's matter of fielding, matter of attacking the fixture over fielding 11 players, because yeah, you can field 11 players, but again, Chelsea and Arsenal playing each other, right? So what do you expect there? So I think there are some good shout there, like Wolves are playing versus Southampton, right? Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich, Man United versus Leicester. So I think there are some fixture that to target, and that's why right now, at least based on the information we have, I'm leaning towards free 29, but things will maybe changing because we'll have FA Cup 5th round game before game week 29, so we'll get clear picture before that. But right now, yeah, 29.
And then following up on that, Wrangler, like have you looked at a free hit team? Like I see Wolverhampton playing Southampton. I'm sure you'll go for Cunha and maybe another asset from that team. You also have the likes of NFO playing Ipswich and then City versus Brighton. So are those some of the main teams that you're looking for? Or are there any standout players, obviously, like Holland?
So yeah, I think those will be the teams. I didn't make any draft yet, but again, Holland, Foden, maybe Man United like players, and Cunha will be there. I never had Chris Wood, so I'll definitely will have Chris Wood for the first time, hopefully, and also Sales or Aina from Nottingham Forest, right? So those are the players I really want. And then Bournemouth is playing versus Brentford, so I would like to have two attackers there as well, two midfielders, in that game week. So that's my thought process right now. I think it's now time to attack game week 29 with the free chips. That's my thought process right now, but things may change. So
Very nice. Team dependent, of course.
yep.
Yeah, awesome answer. Let's go to a next question. Zidane's dad at Zidane's dad asks if it's a good idea to keep Chris Wood, or the three hosts that have him, will we be fucking him off to another forward who has better fixtures? What say us?
I don't have him. I already sold him.
Wow,
So-
17 points poor in the points department. How about
Yeah,
you,
well,
Brian?
I
What's
sold
the
it for
Wood plan?
Gakpo last week though, so I got Gakpo's points at least. But
I like
I
that.
would keep Chris Wood for this week, and then I would look to selling him. I think he's a fine hold this week, unless your plan is to bench him to bring in like a double game week player or something. If you're going to bench him anyway, then why not take him out a week early? I also think he's a perfectly fine hold all the way through. It's Chris Wood.
That's my
Yeah,
plan.
he's going to score.
Wrangler, you have a point?
I have a question. I don't want Wood either, but say you hear the news that Watkins is fit and you are capable of getting Watkins if you replace Wood. Are you gonna do that? Like Wood to Watkins?
For sure, you'd have to do that, Brian. I would.
Yeah, I've looked at my transfers, and if Trent would be out, then I would be using that money to fund an upgrade to get Watkins from Wood. That's kind of the scenario if it plays out. Like there's still, I mean, Watkins is like close to 9 million, right? Like it's still a decent upgrade. So you have to find some cash, and then not to mention a lot of people like myself have 1.5 million invested in freaking ass man, investments down the line. So I very much in a position where I need some funds, so that will be a little bit trickier. But yeah, with that being said, like Wood is one of those players that I feel like if you have a strong team, you can rotate him in these upcoming matches as well. Like I'm looking at possibly rotating him to bench him versus the likes of Liverpool, for example. Like it's not, and then he plays Manchester City. I'm not, you get one shot on Ortega, that one could easily go in. So I don't know. I'm just more of and it's worked for me this season, and it's variance, but I've held a lot of the top assets that are on penalties, and like in Mbumo, I've held since game week 6 wildcard, and he's just trickled in with big hauls throughout the season. So I think Wood is just a player that you can rotate him for a game or two and still be able to play one of your Bournemouth mids. Like that sounds easy. Like you should be able to do that between having a Bournemouth mid and probably like Rodgers. So that's my take on it there.
Don't bet against Chris Wood. It's his season, and we're all just living in it right now. Let's jump to our final question. Corey, aka at the Run CMC, he's asking what to do with Ndiaye. He's the forward from Everton. Is it worth using a free transfer to grab Wissa or another forward? What are we feeling there?
I think we say it's a good shout. I mean, it depends on his eighth attacker, but Brentford is playing versus Leicester soon, right, in game week 26, and they also have West Ham, right? So I think we say it's a very good shot. He's a solid forward, right? Very clinical. So I don't mind it as long as his. I mean, it's a lot of money, but I assume that if he can upgrade Ndai to say Visa, then his eighth attacker probably someone he can bench, so it's fine. So.
I saw an interesting stat that said Wisa has had more big chances in the past 4 weeks than Isak and Salah combined. I thought that was a crazy,
Wow.
a crazy stat.
Yeah,
He's a good shout. I like this.
He's been the center of gravity for Brentford for a couple weeks now. I'm glad you discovered that stat. We referenced it, I think, last week, but it still holds true, which is even more impressive after Salah gets a brace. I think that's really notable. But one quick thing that I do want to mention with forwards is I think once we get to blank game week 29, there will kind of form a template where most managers will want to have Holland, Wood, and Cunha as their front three. So I just think that there's going to be a lot of free transfers that a lot of members of the community use to get to that kind of optimal triple up. And so maybe if you just are able to hold and bench and Dye, you're in a better position to have more free transfers, more flexibility to get those three guys leading the line for your team for that stretch run. Wrangler, you want to jump into either second or
No, I just
tell me I'm an idiot?
I just had a thumbs up that yeah, very good point. That yes, you're right. We'll need lots of free transfer looking forward. A lot of transfers we cannot even imagine. So Endai could be like hiding in the bench. Could be a good enabler. So that's a good shot.
Guys, let's bring on Wrangler every episode. I like that he's saying
he's
nice
agreeing
things
with
to
you
me
a lot.
as
I don't know
opposed to
what's
you
going on
guys. This is so strange. I'm not used to it. Wrangler, you're always welcome back. The seat is warm for you.
It'll be always a pleasure.
All right, let's transition here to our transfer plans and captaincy shouts. So once again, thank you to everyone in the FPL community for engaging with us on X and Blue Sky and sending in your questions. We love the banter and the questions that help produce the show. And now let's just, I think captaincy we don't need to talk about. Everyone's on Salah. You can't go against him. His EO. If you have
Salah.
triple cap, though, if you have triple cap, I'm wondering, Wrangler or Dan, would you play the triple captain this week for these two fixtures? Over Ass Man, potentially.
I would probably play the Ass Man chip.
No, I think I would go with the triple captain. This is be a very good fixture for Liverpool, right? Wolves at home and Villa at home. If I would have had not activated my S-Man, then probably I'd have gone with triple captaincy this week. Because game week 31, so 30 to 30, 31, there are a lot of good teams which may have a good table bonus fixture, like Emery and also even Emorim, if you think could be a good shout. So yeah, I wouldn't mind to triple captain Salah this week.
Interesting. All right, let's go to our transfers. Gollum, why don't you lead us with what's next for your team?
So I have 4 free transfers. So
Wow.
That a boy.
Wow.
You and me both. You and me both.
Jealous.
So yeah, I mean, basically the plan is right now that going from Moyes to Emery, and if Trent is fit, then there'll be only this transfer, and I'll have 5 double game wickets because I already have Rodgers. But if Trent is out, then I have to use another free transfer to take out Trent. So that's when I will think whether I would like to go to slot and get Disasi or no, something like that, to have 5 double game wickets, or maybe just get Van Dijk or Konate and just move forward with that. But it's just depending on Trent. So that's the plan so far.
I'll go next. I have far less transfers. I have 1 free transfer going into this game week. It's a dreadful position to be in considering I'm on Ass Man Moyes, and I will need to use a transfer for sure on that. So I'm looking at taking a hit. Now, my moves are also Trent dependent. If Trent is out, it makes my life really easy. I'll just go Trent down to any other defender and go Moyes up to Emery for a hit. If Trent is fit, he's not going anywhere away from my team. In that scenario, I will go Lewis Hall down to someone like Hoyson from Hoyson Sauce. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Pronunciation's not Bucks' strong suit by any means. So he will come in from Bournemouth. He's pretty cheap, and that will free up enough funds for me to squeeze in Emery instead of Moyes. And Saul will be the captain. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Nice. Easy for me too. I just going to move Eze to Rodgers, free up some more money, and roll my other 3 free transfers. Assman on slot. I need a transfer to probably move off of him in game week 26. So just plodding along and hoping to get some rank gains. But Should be a decent week. I have Clivert. I'm excited to roll him out, and hopefully he'll do the business.
Yeah. And then as for me, I already have Rodgers. I already have Semenyo playing against Southampton. And I have 0.3 million in the bank, which is extremely lucky because that is enough to move from Moyes to Emery for free.
There we go. We got some good vibes and good juju coming your way. That's
very lucky.
fortunate. Yeah.
However,
nice
I will have to take a hit if Alexander-Arnold is completely out, or just play Mikolenko and roll with 2 Liverpool, which I don't want to do. So I'll probably
Nah, you gotta go for the doubles.
If Trent is fully out, I will probably take a hit to bring in Van Dijk.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll be replacing Trent with Konate. But
why Konate over Van Dijk when you're going to get the 1.5 million back in the bank from Slot after 26? Any reason?
all that money adds up, and Liverpool are going to blank in 29. So if I want to get Foden, if I want to get Rodgers to Foden, which is something I'm planning on right now. Like I need that money, right? So for a 2-game stretch, I'm fine. Roll out Konate. Van Dijk has like 1 goal this season. His goal threat is overstated, and he hasn't been as active compared to years past. So I'm fine to save another $1 million+ on Konate.
Yeah, we need to not question anything Brian is doing this season because everything.
Just gotta ask.
It's valid. It's valid. Yeah, it's not a big dick swinging season from VVD that we're used to. But all right, that's a pod, boys.
That's not what he said when he put it right in Ange's lap in that in the cup second leg.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Thanks so much. We want to shout out at FPL_Wrangler for joining us. Check out him on X and anywhere else for the boys to find you, and boys and girls to find you, Gollum.
Yeah, Wrangler, plug all the stuff that you're doing for the FPL community. Get active here.
I think Radar FPL is another place. Basically, we post all of our content over there. So rather look for Radar FPL than FPL Wrangler, I would say.
Beautiful.
Right. Awesome
Thanks
pod.
so much for joining us.
Thank you.